Hey, 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 welcome back. Welcome back to the Scorpio channel. My name is Laura. If you're new to my channel, I'm going to do a general message for Scorpio. Know that energy is fluid, so roles could be reversed. Just interpret the message as it best resonates with you. Also, know on this channel and on my channels, I like to dive deep within the reading. So I do look at everything, but we take more time to look at the spiritual blocks, the shadows, to see how they play as karmic themes, to help you understand why everything's playing out the way that it is, why a person does what they do. And really, the most important thing is how to heal, like those traumatic experiences, because bad relationships cause a lot of trauma, whether it's a bad relationship with a parent, a bad relationship with uh, a frenemy, an acquaintance, a teacher. It doesn't matter. It doesn't all the time need to be, someone that's a romantic person. It's again just somebody that there's an emotional connection to. So the reason why we want to heal the effects of trauma is because we'll see those karmic themes continue to play out within new relationships. So that's really what solidifies the belief. And really, no one needs to believe that they can't have love, that it's not possible to have a good relationship, or to not be able to have financial security, right? I mean, there's basic things that the spirit requires. One is stability, stability through getting enough food, shelter. Well, it's also emotional. See, the mind doesn't know the difference between psychological or emotional or physical trauma. It just knows that it was traumatized, and it holds on to that energetic template, which is what happens when we go through an experience. We remember the feeling. So there's a lot of anxiety around the feeling, there's a lot of negative beliefs around the feelings, and there's a lot of behaviorisms around that experience that need to be integrated, because that's really what healing is. Healing is being able to see a different aspect of yourself. We get stuck in a perception of who we are based on the experiences that play out, which we get the similar or same experiences until we learn the spiritual lesson. That's why it's so essential to heal, because if we don't heal, we stay in a very negative energy of anger, um, victimization, and all the lower energies that are derived from fear. So, again, there's only two energies, love and fear. When we are open to receiving and in the energy of God, the energy of love, the energy of the universe, we are in the energy of unconditional love. However, we are born into karmic environments, societies, families, and then we inherit our own negative karma. And negative karma is just a result from living in environments a lot of times where we didn't see any other way to live, and sometimes it is a choice. Unfortunately, the karmic consequences are the same. It doesn't matter whether you were conscious. So when you say, why did I wind up with a person that's shady, that is a liar, that has all like lower energies, like and it comes out in their character, right? Again, they only care about themselves. They probably steal, they lie, they cheat, all of it. And you say, I'm not like that. Well, again, only two energies, love and fear. So if you don't know your worth, it's considered fear, unfortunately. Or if you've been having experiences financially, being able to take care of yourself, which, again, as we move further into the spiritual war that's happening collectively right now, more people are going to become spiritually sick. And spiritually sick is that when we're stuck in a perception about ourselves that really is not true. It's just, again, from the experience. All right. Now we're going to see how that plays out within your relationships, how those karmic themes, those spiritual blocks rather, are played out as the karmic themes within your relationship. Because once you know, you're able to see how you're contributing to the imbalances. And then it's all about transmuting that negative energy because you're the alchemist of your life. All right. Need a drink? I had an allergy attack as soon as I went outside today. So, of course, I had taken allergy pill, which then makes me really thirsty. And so I will be drinking. I have to drink anyway. I have a history of kidney stones. Again, when I was growing up, my mother used to lock me out of the house all day with no water. So I trained myself not to drink. And it never dawned on me that I should take a drink out of the hose. I don't know why I never thought about that. Probably because I was traumatized from being locked outside the house all day. Anyway, you know, our parents, they weren't as awakened as we are because they weren't educated. They were educated more from a dogmatic perspective. And so we've been moving more into understanding that we really need to heal the spirit part of ourselves. Because if we don't, we wind up in karmic contracts. We wind up in really just negative karmic cycles that block us from wealth, health, and all around emotional fulfillment. All right, so let's take a peek and see what the underlining energy is. Everybody knows that anything of any relevance to the channel, you can find it in the description box below. So that includes, my shadow healing coaching program. All right. Thank you for joining the channel. I have 2 new members I see for subscribers, and I will be doing live streams for just members only starting this week. Yay! Because I have 2 members. Okay, looking to grow the channel. So you get a lot with my shadow healing coaching program, inner child healing, shadow healing, and reparenting. And all the healing modalities to help you heal the effects of trauma. Okay, so the underlying energy is self-observation. And you know what? I feel like you're in a place of self-observation. So you're the underlining energy. And I say that because you've been connected to someone who has been like disassociated from themselves for a long time and disassociated from you as a result. Meaning this person had a lot of pride, my way or the highway type of personality. And there's a part of you that's looking at this person and say, why would I be with a person that was so prideful that they chose to not to disconnect from me, from not to not be here for me, emotionally. But I feel like it's that this person, that because they're so prideful in life, they can't. See, this person has a lot of wounds of their own. So it came out as a lot of disappointment within the connection because you're saying, I cannot believe I thought that you were someone else. I thought we had a different connection. And the fact that you would choose to stay away from me instead of fix whatever problem we had, that you're so prideful that you began to get extremely angry because you're like, wow, you can't deal with the criticism. So it's better to keep us in a place of, imbalance. Yeah, like they didn't close the situation and they just kind of left it suspended where they were like, I'll get back to you when you cool down. Where you're like, oh, you're an avoidant. You like almost like you wound up getting a lot of resentment towards this person because you're like, wow, you chose to not fix it with me. So I feel like this person was supposed to come back and apologize or, at least have a conversation with you to work out whatever the disagreement was. But instead, this person detached from you, disassociated, abandoned you during a certain time of your life that I feel like was important. It was important enough that you're looking at yourself and you're saying, why would I choose to be with a person like this? Like you finally got to that place. And so there's a sense that the energy between you and this person has definitely changed because, hey, there was always a spiritual connection, ESP through the heart and mind. But at this point in time, this person says, oh, our energy has definitely changed. You've disconnected. And now it's almost like they feel uncomfortable because it's almost like you're looking at this person like, ew. You felt now you feel like a sense of really not connecting with this person at all. And it's because the whole time this person really doesn't feel that they belong anywhere. So they project a lot of that energy onto whoever they're with. And this time it was you, where they all they do is they undervalue you. You just felt undervalued and just treated the same way that they treat everybody else, which is crappy. And, now you wanted to pretty much do the same because it was almost like you felt like this person really was cocky in who they were, that they weren't going to change by you asking them to change, especially if they said something and you know, are defending yourself, or this person was treating you bad, and again, you're defending yourself. They're like, I'm going to avoid you because I don't want to deal with the criticism. I'll come back when you cool down. But they're not looking at what's going on in your life. They're not building a relationship, and it's very childish. But again, I'm going to keep the relationship in a place of imbalance, so I'm not really going to close it out. So either you're going to sit and wait for me, or you're going to chase me. And really, that's the energy that they put you in. And so what you saw is like, well, you know what? You got to a place where you began to think about all your relationships. And you say, you know what? I had a hard time of letting go of the past and the fears that are associated with it. So you chalked this connection up to that it played out as chaos in your relationship because that's what always happens. So there was a sense that the self-observation is the fact that you have always like attracted this type of energy, that this trauma is like like is really following you around due to, again, the past relationship. And that again doesn't need to be a past lover. It could be, again, the family that you grew up in, which obviously, if the karmic cycle has been repeated where you're like, oh, I always get the same thing. People that undervalue me, people that emotionally don't give to me, people that make me feel like I'm not good enough, people that give me that vibe. Well, again, it's something inside of you that needs to heal because we can't change other people, but we can change ourselves. And you know what? When we change ourselves, ironically, it changes just the way that other people deal with us, the way that they see us. So, we have to look at the behaviorisms here of why that happens. And it's just like, again, like this person just withdraws. This is what they do. They don't end the relationship. Again, what they do is they say, "Oh, you have a problem. Oh, it's your issue. I'll get back to you on that." And so you're just kind of left high and vague where this person goes along with their life and they talk to other people and they act very childish. And again, where you're like, oh, you're undervaluing me. You're acting like you don't really care because they don't care. It's like they didn't care, which is what you felt, which is why there was resentment. And this person is like, wasn't seeing what they did at all. They were blind to, to how they treated you. They were only thinking about themselves. And it's because there's always been a lust, but never really a love, because they have never taken the time to get to know you. So understand too, it's that you are someone that gives energy. You're someone that's on a high vibration. And really, when spirit brings people into people's lives that are on different vibrations, it's because the love, a lot of times, or the admiration of that other person, again, what rubs off on that makes that other person want to be like them, mirror that energy. That's why. If there's love, we do anything for love. So again, this person does find you very, again, intoxicating, but, and that to me, when someone is intoxicating, it's like it's giving them energy. But unless that energy is being utilized to create, to do something positive, it's being used now on a lower vibration where this person wants to dominate, they want to control, and they want to do it because, hey, there's lust. And it's like, but lust is, there's dominance, there's control, there's not, and there's nothing here which is emotional. So again, so many things remind them of you. They want to tell you how they feel, but they know that it's too late and they hid who they are from you, which again was creating this facade that they don't really care. So it's not that they didn't care, they wanted to control and dominate. Now, a person does that when they have a second chakra imbalance, and that's all about how a person perceives himself. Again, when we're talking about the spiritual center, again, which is that birthing center, it's where our hips are, right? So it represents really our true unique individuality. It's the passion for life. It's the birthing center. So we're supposed to birth something that we love. It's again, whether that's a child or whether it's actually creating something. So I feel like you are always someone that's creating something, where this person, their second chakra is off. So when person's second chakra is off, they want to control, they want to dominate. But the imbalances too are they have intimacy issues, they withdraw, they're an avoidant. So because this person is spiritually imbalanced, it's like this relationship is like, you know, you saw it and you said, you're not going to control me. Is but understand it's not that this person didn't have feelings for you. It's that their way of really like, you know, thinking a relationship is good is if they find someone like really attractive. Again, the superficial things, like what things look like on the outside. So this person again manipulates how they want to be seen. They want to control the narrative. That's again second chakra imbalance. Person that can't go with the flow of life. They're not in the passion for life. What are they? They're again trying to control. They have addictive behavior usually. And I will look and see what the behaviorisms are. But right now, what you see is all like I feel like I ruined everything. So shame, when shame is stored within that second chakra, I gave into temptation. We knew that cheating was going to be there. We just knew it. Second chakra imbalance, addictive behavior, self-indulgent behavior. There it is. They ruined everything because of that shame. And you deserve better than me. This person knew it. It's like, so they were really afraid that once you saw who they were, that you weren't going to like them. So they wanted to dominate things. They wanted to control the narrative, mainly because they have fear of abandonment. So what happened is this person wound up abandoning you, but they abandoned themselves again from love because of the trauma. That's why. That's what played out. This person never has good relationships. They only have karmic contracts, which play out as, these very codependent relationships where they withdraw or emotionally avoidant and they wind up with a person that, is overly emotional. So, that imbalance, and that's a trauma bond. So when two people there's love each other, but they hate each other, and the relationship becomes so toxic over time because there's no boundaries. There's no, individuality. It's all about control. It's all about dominance. It's all about the addictive behavior. It's all about what things look like on the outside. So here it is that you saw that. Thank God you saw that because it's like this person is all about that life, and now the thing is, it's like all their lies and illusions, backfired on them. They're angry, but what are they doing? They're avoiding. They're running around with other people, having sex with other people, projecting. It's all your fault. It's all your fault. No, what happened is that they kept it in balance, and you again pulled judgment on them. You saw it as betrayal because that's exactly what it was. You know, it was emotional abandonment. This person is, going to sit there and they're going to act like it's you because it's again, they don't want to be like rejection. That's why they never talk to you because they knew on some level that you would. This person's also suppressing their emotions, suppressing their emotions and, being with people that are going to conform so that they can stay in their old habits. So again, that's really what it is. This you don't see that this person changed. They entered back into just another karmic cycle, another karmic contract that but now they really don't have feelings for that person that they're with. It's just like they're stuck in like a loveless connection. And it's really because this person thought that they were going to manipulate you and that you were going to come running back. That's not what happened, And so now they're stuck with this other person. And it all started with sex, but they attract who they are too, which is why they don't like being in relationships because you get what you give. And eventually, they would wind up in a karmic contract that they wouldn't be able to get out of. And that's kind of what I see because, like, there's no passion, there's no anything. It's just a facade, an illusion from, what really is. And that's because this person will never let anyone get that close because of all the trauma that they haven't healed. So you have to say, wow, down the rabbit hole, why would I, why would I attract that type of a person into my life? And again, there's only two energies, love and fear. So you don't need to be a miserable person or a horrible person. It just has to be like what you've dealt with within your life, and that's the thing. So, that's the issue. So we have to look at the inner child wound cards because one, two, three, four, five, because really that's what's going to tell us why things are playing out the way that they are. What needed to be healed, what has continued to play out within your relationships, whether that's, friendship, whether that's parent wise, whether that's usually the parents like are the ones that start that. And it's not a blame game. Remember, our parents were born during situations that collectively things were happening. So if you were born during COVID, imagine, parents were a little flipped out over that if they had other children getting sick, not being able to hold on to their job, walking into the grocery store, seeing a lack, this lack mentality. So it doesn't all the time is your parent abusive, it's what's happening. And the habits and behaviorisms that they had to adapt to due to the situation. We tend to get stuck in the story. We don't want to get stuck in the story. We only want to see what that trauma was to satisfy and bypass that reptilian mind. Otherwise, it gets stuck in the story and no one wants to hear it. We want to do the healing. We want to focus on the healing. And after a while, we don't want to hear it either. We're just tired. We're stuck in it. So the first card out is outdoors and nature. Then there's physical touch. There's nurture. There's space. There's neglect. There's innocence. And there's abandonment. So we can see why. Listen, this person abandoned you. This person abandoned you. They neglected you. They didn't nurture the connection. And there was no emotional support. So understand, growing up, these were the energies that you were neglected in some way. And again, doesn't mean that your parents wanted to do that. They might have had their own traumas and had to deal with them, like, or they were sick, or they had other children that needed attention. It could be anything. But we look at the child self, and if the child self says, no, my parents abandoned me, they neglected my needs. And sometimes that does happen too, where our parents are abusive, where they deliberately do that. I grew up in an environment that's exactly what happened, where it's like my mother knew exactly what she was doing and she was okay with it. And the reason why was because it was done to her. So, and I call that spiritual disease, when a person is so angry that they think that it's okay to hurt someone else. And that's what you see, hurt people hurt people. They project it. So it was the abandonment and the neglect, the no emotional support, no nurturing at all. And so it robbed the innocence. Again, when we grow up in survival mode, that's what it does. We can't help but to look for problems in our environment. And we see what we look for. So again, because we're going to form habits and behaviorisms that are in alignment, such as being hypervigilant, noticing every move, every thought, every intention, and reading into it. And I understand we see what we look for, and if we don't heal and integrate, it continues to play out, and it takes up a lot of space, meaning like it's reliving the same undesirable life experiences, which, by the way, is what that person's doing. They're stuck in a karmic cycle that they really can't get out of because they just thought that they were going to play around. And so if you're stuck, you're not creating. There's a lot of open space. Here it is. It's like nothing. It's nothingness. But you might say, wow, I don't really know who I am, because there's nothing, and that would happen if you didn't get the nurturing that you needed growing up, right? If you didn't get the love, the support, and you were neglected, that's what would happen. So emotional abuse, psychological abuse. See, we may say that it's not, but children need support. And when they don't get it, they look for other things to fulfill them. So it's all about the stability. Otherwise, there's a lack of grounding, there's a lack of connection to other people and other things. See, what happens when you grow up in an environment where there was psychological and emotional abuse is you're no longer present. You're no longer in the moment. You're no longer grounded. You begin to look for problems. You become hypervigilant, and that conditions the nervous system. And if you have grown up in an environment where you were emotionally and psychologically neglected, well, then you're going to be hyper focused on getting what you feel that you can't, that you want. Like if you want love, you're going to say, I really can't get it. And you're going to put so much energy into that person to say, well, I'm going to be so good that that person falls in love, when meanwhile they could have liked you, but then because you overgave and overdid, and that's the second chakra imbalance, by the way, that you didn't grow yourself. You, again, because of the environment that you grew up in, if you were neglected and not nurtured, children aren't meant to like have to, live in survival. They're supposed to use their little minds to create and to dream. If a child is able to dream in the beginning, they'll survive whatever the trauma is, which I feel like is what happened because you were abandoned, you were not nurtured, you were neglected, and so you went inside of yourself. And so there was still problems with people, however, because of the hypervigilance, because of you know, the the wounds that needed to be healed from the past. And Spirit says, and some of them still need to be cleansed, but that's done by embodying a whole new consciousness that you have to see yourself differently. You have to change that energetic template. And that just means you went through an experience, the experience had a negative emotion, you held on to that emotion, even if you don't remember it and you suppressed it because you couldn't figure out how to like really fix it. It was stored within your subconscious mind, which means that your body held on to it. And that affects your energy level, it affects your vitality, your health, your frame of mind, all of it. And Spirit says so. It's again, it's all about seeing beyond the illusion, discern the truth that fear obscures and see the reality. Pull back the curtain about yourself, again, in your situation, because trauma distorts your perception about yourself and the world around you, and that makes you detach. And I feel like at one point, because you emotionally didn't get what you needed, you attracted someone that, again, also grew up similar. They didn't get what they needed, and so they're just selfish. You at least did the healing. And that's what happens when you see beyond the illusion of fear. You're integrating it. Now it's time to align your actions with your heart's true desires. Follow your passion, not a person, even though there's a person on this card. What you do is you follow your passion for life. And if you say, I don't have one, you have to find one. Then when you're in that energy, you attract a person that the universe brings to you, more of a person that's in alignment with the right character, which is of that higher vibration, which is unconditional love, which is the same energy as the universe. The universe will then bring you the right person to support you. This is not going to be someone that, is like, I don't want to fix things, but expects you to like settle for less and fix it when they don't really want to be fixed. And Spirit says that you may feel like you're not on the right path because things happen, but we get our tests while we're on our paths. You've created your own way, like that's it. The path unfolds while you're on it. It's like, and that's through your passion. We don't know where that passion will take us or how the universe conspires to make a way, but there is no way. We don't know. All we know is that God is definitely going to bring us to people, situations, and experiences that change our mind and our heart to help us revert back to our original energy, which is unconditional love. Um, and that means a lot of times that it's not going to feel pleasant. Okay, that means where it's just a stepping stone. Like this was just a stepping stone, and now it's again time to be on your soul's calling. Listen to your soul, and it was just time to ascend life. Let go of who you were to become who you are, so that you can manifest the life and the life experiences that you want to have, because you gain the wisdom from the experience. So now it's all about taking a leap of faith. Again, risks are rewarding. It allows you to see yourself differently, because a lot of times we can't heal in the same place that we got sick. So the last part of healing is actually, again, embodying that new consciousness, allowing ourselves to really see ourselves differently. And we end off with one more for you, Scorpio. And let's see what that is going to be. It is inner strength. Nothing moves you from your path to the light because you have complete confidence in yourself, that you realize your innate qualities and abilities and know that with God that you can do anything. And all the power that you need is within inside of yourself. That God doesn't give us anything that we don't need or that we don't, that doesn't won't serve us. And so a lot of times we can turn that pain into power. We can, turn the adversity into strength. And that's really that God is all knowing and we are not. We get stuck in a perception, and that perception, when it's of a lower energy that's out of alignment with the energy of unconditional love, that is when problems begin to happen. And that if we can heal on the spiritual level, we can actually heal all the physical issues on the physical that are on the physical realm. We may not be able to cure, cancer, but we can prevent actually even getting cancer. That's the issue. It's all about preventative care and spiritual health. It really is important because we can change. If you can heal on the spiritual level, you can avoid a lot. I'm going to leave that there, guys. Don't forget to check out my shadow healing coaching program. And until next time, be true to you. Love you guys. Bye bye.